All right, so here I have a survey, the data from a survey, and I conducted the survey using Google Forms. And you know that Google Forms surveys then go to a Google spreadsheet. Now I can't enter the data, I can't import the Google spreadsheet right into SPSS. I actually might be able to copy and paste it, I never tried that. But I will generally export my Google spreadsheet into Excel, work a little bit in Excel, and then bring it into SPSS. Right? And if you've ever done a Google form, you know that when you give multiple choice like a Likert style, it doesn't give you the output in terms of numbers, it gives you the output in terms of whatever labels you put on that survey. So I use strongly agree to strongly disagree, and these are the output answers that I get. Now remember that SPSS cannot work with labels when doing descriptive or inferential statistical analysis. It needs numbers. So all these labels have to be translated into numbers, and I'm going to use the convention that strongly agree equals a 5, agree equals 4, neutral equals 3, etc. Now before I do that, I want to raise the point that we talked about in class, which is this whole thing is not really legitimate. You can't find the mean between strongly agree and disagree. You can change it into numbers and do an average, but does that really represent the actual something that's real? Because somebody strongly agree may be much stronger than somebody else's strongly agree or their disagree, or their strongly disagree. So what we're doing is not legitimate. I'm telling you that up front. But on the other hand, it's very rare to see published research with survey work where this is not done. So this is routinely violated. I'm not recommending that you do violate it. I want you to, when you present your data from surveys, present it in frequencies, which is more legitimate. But I do want you to gain this experience in how to use SPSS, and this is the data we have, so this is how we're going to proceed. All right. So what I'm going to do to change this into numbers, and I can do this easier in Excel, I think, than in SPSS, is do find and replace. So I'm going to start by doing replace for strongly agree. And I'm going to make strongly agree a 5. And I'm going to replace all. Okay. So I think I did that. Yep. Now I'm going to do strongly disagree next. And I have to admit that this is my second or third time doing this because I didn't think logically how to do it right in this the first time I started this video. What I did in the first time was I went strongly agree and then I replaced all the agrees. But of course when I replaced the agrees, I replaced the word agree within strongly disagree and within disagree, and I was all messed up. So I have to think this through. So I'm going to replace all the strongly disagrees next. I don't know if I had a spelling error there or not. All right, replaced all the strongly disagrees. I'm going to replace all the neutrals next. Of course that has a value of 3. A lot of neutrals. I'm going to replace all the disagrees next. And all the agrees last. All right. Hopefully my logic was right there. Now, like I said, the first time I did it, my logic was wrong and my data was messed up. So an important tip is when you get your raw data file in Excel or whatever format it's in, keep one copy of that pure. Make another copy that you start to work with, because you always want the ability to go back to that original data set before you started working with it too much. All right? So I'm going to save this and then open up SPSS, which I already have opened up. And I've already got the data in here, but let me show you how I did it. I went File, Open, Data, and I happen to have this file saved on my desktop. Here it's open to my desktop. This is it right here, but you notice it's grayed out. The reason is right now SPSS is looking only for .sav files, which is the native SPSS format. So I have to come and select Excel files, and then I would select my data file and double click it, and then it would bring it in, and you would see something like you see here. Right. So I now have my data into SPSS. Notice that it brought in the header row with my tables. I've got all these data points turned into numerical values. Now, I could have done the same thing in my Excel file with male and female, arbitrarily developing a code book with males equal 1 and females equal 2. And there are some other data points in here. We were using Myers-Briggs, so I would have to create a code book for every label in here, like introvert equals 1, extrovert equals 2, etc. And change everything in here that I want to do analysis with into numbers. I could also create a code book for some of the demographic information if I wanted to. All right. So it's now in a position that I can do my main analysis. The statistical analysis commands are all under Analyze. And there's a lot here we're going to explore over time, but descriptive statistics and frequencies is pretty obvious what you'll get. I'm going to go to descriptives. The way SPSS works, almost all the commands are like this. You get two windows, generally speaking. Some of the things are different, but a basic format is two windows. These are all the variables that I have in my data file. And what I can do is select them and bring them over into the ones that I want to analyze. Or if I don't want that one, I can put it back. Or I can bring in several at a time. Right? Now, descriptives are generally mean, standard deviation, etc. I can pick some of my options here. Mean and standard deviation. I don't want the sum, minimum, or maximum. Those are not going to be interesting in this case. And I can do some other things that we'll learn about later. All right. So I click OK. And notice I get a new window. So you have your data window and your output window. I had 4 variables here, and it gave me the n and the mean and the standard deviation.